And last but certainly not least, I want to introduce to you a very distinguished son of Columbia County and of the city of Hudson, a man who has been widely known all around this state as someone who's a pillar of law enforcement, who dedicated himself to the people and to law enforcement, and who distinguished himself as superintendent of the New York State Police, from which he's now retired, or else he couldn't be here doing that. But it's my distinct honor and privilege to introduce to you Preston Felton. Preston.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who know me, I'm not used to speaking in public, and I try to avoid it like it's the plague. But I figured tonight was much different. And I was a little concerned, as most of you know, I'm a Hudson kid. You can't take that out of me. And I lived most of my life between 3rd and 4th Street on Columbia. And if you drove in and you saw the Czajka sign in that field over there, that's right about the proximate place of my old bedroom of the house I used to live in. And I addressed that first thing with the judge. But let me say this. For me, this is very simple. I've known Czajka for 30 years. I was an intern at Marist, as I like to say, serving my penance in the town of Livingston Court. He was the ADA, and you know, he took, I think there was one other guy with me. He took us under his wing, and you know, told us what we really needed to know about the legal system. And over the 30 years, we've touched base on occasion, frequently. Over the last 10 years, it's become more and more frequent as he's been at the same events in Hudson that I've been at. And most of those events have been for community organizations, you know, like Operation Unite, which is 150 yards down the street. But I've learned, and I've always respected a number of things about him. And I personally think they need to be said. Good leaders, good prosecutors have a number of great qualities. Of course, you need the superb legal mind. And he has that. I don't think anybody in this room would deny that. But he has integrity on top of that. And that's so important. Because what you tell people and what you do has got to be the same thing. And that's never been a question with Czajka. Never been a question with him. Work ethic, never been a question. You know, kid from Livingston, always a hard worker, early in the morning, those are the things. He's promised to get up and be there for the cops. And a lot of times, and I can tell you this, a lot of times in the middle of the night, police don't know what to do with some of the things they come upon from a legal standpoint. What would the DA want? What would he not want? He's promised to be there, or have one of his assistants to be there, to make sure it's done right, and it's done right the first time. Now, my mom always taught me this, and you know, all the years we lived in Hudson, and I was speaking earlier to John Sharp, and he couldn't believe I used to deliver newspapers at his office, and my mother, probably every year that she lived in Hudson, bought insurance from him, and she had great respect for him. But there is this thing that if there are any troopers or police officers in the room, and I know there are, there's this thing that I've said many times, that in our lives we have to have a fundamental sense of fairness in dealing with people. And that's so important when you're in law enforcement, which includes being a prosecutor. And Paul has that. He's never lost it. It was probably handed down from generation to generation of his parents and grandparents, and that's so important. But one of the last things, and the most important thing, is character. You have to have character. You have to have moral and ethical beliefs. You have to have principles. And people that know me have heard me say this before. You know, I quote a fairly famous movie, The Contender. And the whole theme of that movie is principles only mean something if you're willing to stand by them when they're inconvenient to you. And the policies that Paul Czajka put into place his first terms in office as district attorney are the same principles that he's going to bring to the people of this city and this county today. And that's what's important. Who, at the end of the day, who do you want to protect you? Someone who would misrepresent what they stand for, or a man of great integrity, work ethic, fairness, and character like Paul Czajka. So I can tell you what I plan to do is when I leave here tonight, I plan to call all of my friends in Columbia County, email them and say, the election is 2 weeks away. You need to vote for Paul Czajka for district attorney because he's the best man for the job. And I encourage all of you, each of you, to do the same. Visit your neighbors, send the emails, and let them know that you have a chance to improve the lifestyle and the safety of this community. And this is a great county that you live in. And that, you know, still today, 52 years old, people say, where are you from? Hudson, New York. Where, or they say, you know, where'd you grow up? Columbia County. Because I love this, because this is a great place. And one of the reasons it's a great place is because of people like Paul Czajka. And so, Paul, I wish you the best. You know I'm there for you, whether it's tonight or on election day, driving people, or whatever it needs to be done. Told you that before. I'm always there for you, 100%. Thank you.